Thank you all for being here, by the way. This is an incredible turnout. And when Sandy told me that she wanted to do something like this, I was totally on board. And I figured, maybe five people would show up. And then I just kept getting notifications that more and more people were signing up. I was freaking out a little bit. So, hey everyone, I am Michelle. I'm the owner of Sparkling Homes Cleaning Service in Albertville, Minnesota. Before we get into anything today, I want to give you a little context about why I am the one sitting here with you talking about hiring. I have done this wrong twice. So, twice I had to let my entire cleaning staff go. The second time it happened, I made myself a promise that I was going to figure this out the right way before I hired another person. Because here's what I realized. It wasn't just a hiring problem, it was a culture problem, and it could be fixed with processes. I'd let a few bad apples into the mix, and it completely changed the environment. Work felt exhausting, heavy. Honestly, it started to feel impossible. And instead of building a team that lifted each other up, I had a team that drained the life out of the business and of me. So I made a really hard decision and I let everyone go and I started over. I went back into the field myself and I stayed there until we got it right, until we found the right people, the kind of people who made the job feel lighter, not heavier, who aligned with our values, who actually made coming to work feel good again. And that experience changed everything about how I hire today. So I dug into everything, my job ad, how I was qualifying applicants, what my values and culture actually were, not just what I thought that they were. I built an ideal employee profile and then built my entire hiring system around that profile. What I'm sharing with you today isn't theory. It's what I rebuilt from scratch after learning some very expensive lessons. And my hope is that you walk away with enough to start building something that works for you without having to go through what I went through to get here. Before we jump in, here's a quick look at what we're going to cover today. My goal is that you walk away with more than just ideas. I want you to leave with a clear, repeatable process you can actually put to work. Here's where we're headed: the hiring mindset shift. We're going to start with mindset because if the way you think about hiring doesn't change, nothing else we talk about today will land the way that it should. This is where we move from reactive to intentional. The hiring process that actually works. Then I'm going to walk you through the process step by step, what to do, how it flows, and why each part matters so you're not starting from scratch every time you need to hire someone. Interview and selection. After that, we'll talk about how to actually identify the right person, not based on gut feeling or who you liked the most in the room, but based on what candidates consistently show you throughout the process. And building a team that impacts everything. And finally, we'll bring it all together and talk about how the people you hire affect your team, your culture, and your results. Hiring isn't just about filling a role, it's about building something that lasts. So let's get into it. Hiring is hard. And if you've ever had someone quit after 2 weeks, ghost you after training, or just not work out the way you hoped, you know exactly what I mean. Today isn't about finding a better job posting. It's about building a system that attracts the right people, filters out the wrong ones, and sets everyone up to actually succeed. That's what we're going to work through together today. So pop in the chat and tell me, where do you feel like your hiring process is breaking down right now? Tessa said, my boss is a slave driver. I would like to fire her, but unfortunately, I am the boss. Still don't like her much.
Lesia said she is about to fire all of her cleaners and go clean herself. Then Michelle did it twice. That is
Yeah.
what brought her to where she is right now.
Yep.
Yeah, we've got a lot of folks on here, like the applicants not telling the truth with their qualifications. I've run into that so many times. Do you have a vehicle and a driver's license? They say yes, then they show up and they're like, "Oh, but my car's not running." Or
Right.
I've got to go in and get my license. Yes, no, been there, done that. Keeping a flow of potential hires on the bench. So that's something that Michelle's going to talk a little bit about today. Michelle's actually in a position where she has, I'm telling y'all, I was there the last time she fired all of her staff and went back in the field. And she was
Yep.
like, I'm not, something is wrong. I need to figure out what's broken. And I watched her for the next year just dig in to everything so that she could get it right. And now, while it is always good to have a little applicant pool built up, Michelle actually doesn't have to hire all the time.
Right.
So that's something she's going to go in.
Yeah.
Let's see here, Victoria, when you
Sandy,
think
you
you're
were
hiring
you
a
were
good.
doing interviews for me because I was out in the field.
Yeah, I was doing your interviews. That's right. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, when you think you are hiring a good candidate and then they can't handle it, even though you over explain it in the interview. Yes, that's something people think that it's going to be easy job, no matter how hard you stress, how physical it is. They don't understand all the times.
Yeah.
Creating
I
a,
see cleaning gals here. Is that Heather?
yep, Heather's in here. A whole bunch of people popped
Ah,
in while you were talking. I just
oh
didn't
my
tell you.
gosh. That's so exciting. Hi, Heather.
Or they want more money. Yes, these are all of the issues. Let's see here. Heather said I have a solid, good, small team of five, but I want growth. I need growth as I want to be continually hiring.
Yeah.
Yep. We are still working out on creating our ideal technician avatar. Okay, Tessa wants to know what a technician avatar is. You want to explain that? I'm going to mute back out so you can get back on it.
Yeah, so a technician avatar. So if you've built out your cleaning ad avatar, like who your perfect client would be, this is the perfect cleaning technician. So think about what job did they have before they came to you? What kind of qualities do they possess? There is a little bit in this presentation actually even that we're going to go over. So, obviously you want somebody who shows up on time, who has a driver's license, who has an insured vehicle. Like, yes, those are all the things that you definitely want. Those are more of like the non-negotiable type things. But you also kind of need to make the qualities that you want your cleaning tech to possess, have them be non-negotiables too. And actually, a lot of what we're going to go through today is coming up in the next couple of slides, talking about your core values and hiring towards the core values. So, to make sure that you get the type of people that you really want. Morals, loyalty, and put value in their work. Yes. All right. So, before we get into the actual process, we need to talk about mindset because the process I'm going to walk you through works, but only if you're willing to think about hiring differently than you probably have been. Most owners believe their hiring problem is a people problem. And you know what? I believed that too. But here's what I've learned, it's not a people problem, it's a process problem. We've been taught to approach hiring all wrong. The old approach is to post a job, hope the right person applies, hire whoever seems good enough, and pray it works out. That approach creates desperation hires, inconsistent teams, and constant turnover. Does this sound familiar to you guys? Definitely so. What I went through. The shift is this: stop trying to find people and start building a system that filters for the right ones. So you attract, you filter, and then you select. When you do that consistently, you get better hires, a stronger culture, and people who actually stick around. Here's something I want you to sit with. Every bad hire costs you more than being short staffed for a week. Do you all know what it costs to hire and train someone? It's a lot. So we're not going to make hiring easier. We're actually going to make it a little harder on purpose because friction is what filters out the people who were never going to work out anyway. Low effort applicants, people who aren't serious, people who won't follow directions. They'll remove themselves if you let them. Stop trying to convince people to work for you. You're not for everyone, and that's a good thing. And then here we go into, have you built a cleaning tech avatar like you have a client avatar? Speak directly to your ideal hire. The wrong people will opt out, the right ones will lean in. And here's the mindset shift that changes everything. You're not picking the best person, you're eliminating the wrong ones until the right one is left. I can teach someone how to clean. I cannot teach someone to care. So we hire for work ethic, attitude, reliability, and attention to detail. And when you're willing to hold that standard, even when it's uncomfortable, everything changes. Have you looked at where your last great hires have come from? It's generally not retail or fast food, but pay attention to people from daycare centers and health fields such as PCA, CNA, home health aid. These are all people who have a servant heart that truly care about people. So, have you ever made a hire that you knew wasn't right? I think everybody can raise their hand, right?
I have
Yeah.
made so many that I knew I should not do. So many.
How many has hired the bad person twice? I
More than twice. Me.
have. They left and begged to come back, and I was like, "Yeah, we're short-staffed, okay." Oh, never a good, never a good thing. So now that we've talked about mindset, let's get into what this actually looks like in practice. Our process comes down to four things: attract, filter, confirm, and select. So, attract. We're not trying to get as many applicants as possible. We're trying to get the right ones to raise their hand. That means being very clear about what this job is, how we operate, and what we expect. This job is not for everyone. When you say that clearly, the wrong people move on and the right ones pay attention. Filter. This is where the process does most of its work. We build in friction on purpose so that people who aren't serious naturally fall off without us having to do anything. If someone won't follow simple directions during the hiring process, they're not going to follow directions in a client's home. Every step is designed to answer one question: are they actually serious? Now, I know what some of you are thinking. If I add more steps, am I going to lose candidates while they're waiting? And the answer is not necessarily if you set this up right. The friction steps don't have to slow anything down. The goal is to keep the pipeline moving quickly while the steps do their filtering work in between. Someone applies, and the next step triggers the same day. They complete that, and the next step goes out immediately. The whole thing moves fast. What you're adding is an intentionality, and the right candidates will move through it quickly because they're paying attention, they want the job, and they're following through. The ones who drop off weren't going to work out anyway. And confirm, by the time someone gets to the interview, we're not trying to figure them out from scratch. We're using everything we've gathered so far: the application, the screening responses, any prior communication, to dial into what we still need clarity on. If someone has solid work history but a 3-month gap, we want to know about that. If they stayed with a company for 6 years and then didn't hold a job for the next 3 months, that's worth a conversation. The interview is where we get those answers and confirm what their actions have already shown us. Select. We select the one who has consistently met our standards throughout the process. Think about it this way: you have standards for how a home gets cleaned. Hiring works the same way. If someone can't meet the minimum standards during the application process, following directions, completing steps, communicating, they're not going to meet your cleaning standards either. The bar is the bar. Here's the difference between doing this intentionally and not. You can run an ad, screen for basic deal breakers, and find someone to hire. That works sometimes. Or you can run an ad written to attract your ideal hire. Build a process that filters as it goes and walk into every interview already knowing quite a bit about who you're talking to. Either way, you'll find someone. The difference is how much you're rolling the dice when you do. So tell me in the chat, are you currently using filters in your process, or are you mostly relying on interviews? Which, by the way, we do not talk or communicate with the applicants until the interview.
Tessa says she's winging it. Wendy said filters and test. Now see with mine, the way that mine was set up, I didn't have separate screenings, but I had screening like questions that were in the application.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that was kind of my application was really long rather than having the application and then, a culture screening or,
Right.
a compatibility screening or anything. Yeah, I had tech wasn't where it was when I had mine set up. So,
Right.
I need an onboarding system. Yes.
Mhm.
You need a system for everything. If we're being honest, everything's got to be a system.
Absolutely.
What are Michelle Victoria wants to know what are the best filters?
We're going to get into that.
Oh, the chat is rolling. It's rolling. I'm trying, y'all. It's like popping up and everybody's comments are disappearing. Ariel said using filters for applicants, but still heavily using interviews. Yeah, the interviews are still important.
Yeah.
The part that Michelle has figured out is getting so much done before the interview. Like that's where there's so much time saved. Lesia said we have filters and I trust my feelings to hire. Have to have a better system. I'm gonna tell you what, if you can systemize and document what you're feeling, Lesia, I'll support that. We have some filters. We ask for information or ask some questions and see how fast they answer. Communication first. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, them being able to communicate early on, that's super important that they're
Mm.
not lagging and, they're not the one holding the process up.
Yes. All right. So here is our full process. By the way, all the pictures in here, if they're not the owls, they're my team. So now let's walk through our actual process step by step. Every single step has a purpose and nothing is extra. So it starts with the ad. And fun fact, for the longest time, my hiring ad was that we are the perfect job. And that is not true. From there, they complete a quick first application. This is simple on purpose. We want to capture interest fast, but we're also watching for the first sign of something important. Will they actually take action? Next, they watch our hiring presentation. This is where we show them exactly what the job looks like. No sugarcoating, no selling. We're letting them decide if this is for them before we invest any more time on either side. We even reinforce that we clean toilets. You won't believe how many people were appalled in the training that they had to clean toilets. We are going to include a hiring template for a hiring presentation in the resources from the talk, and Sandy is also going to share the link to my hiring presentation in the chat. So make sure you save it for later. Then comes a step that does a lot of quiet filtering. They have to text us, I'm all in, and this one step alone removes a significant number of people from the pool. The ones who aren't paying attention, they aren't serious, or won't follow a simple direction. If they can't do that here, they won't do it in a client's home. After that, they complete the full application. More effort is required, and this is intentional. At this point, we only want the people who are genuinely invested. This is where we ask them for job and school history as well as references. Then there's a culture questionnaire. This is where we start looking beyond whether they can do the job and start asking whether they think the way that we think and value what we value. And this culture questionnaire is available through Rescue My Maid service.
Little plug there. Sorry, guys.
Once that's done, they get access to schedule their own interview. We don't chase people. We let them take ownership of the next step, and that's part of the filter too. Then the interview, which we've already talked about. By this point, we're confirming what their actions have already shown us, and we're digging into everything else we need them to elaborate on. And our interviews aren't long. Our interviews are probably less than 15 minutes. And finally, selection. Background checks, reference checks, final decisions. We don't hire based on who we liked the most. We hire the person who has consistently shown us through every step that they meet our standards. So tell me in the chat, do you have a step or steps in your current process that explain to them what the job is about beyond what the deal breakers are to work for you? I see Wendy says yes. Anna says yes. During the interview, we do a 1 day in a cleaner's life and explain a whole day of work and what does that look like. Excellent, Anna. That I have that in the hiring presentation, so then I don't have to go through it during the interview. We tell
Yeah,
them
her
well.
presentation covers a lot. It is very, very cool. And we're giving you guys the link to it so you can go and like watch her hiring presentation, but also in the resources from today, we've got a Canva template that you guys can open in your Canva accounts and you can customize it and build it out so that you can make your own.
So now let's talk about why this actually works, because this isn't just a process for the sake of having one. Every piece of it is designed to solve the specific problems most cleaning business owners deal with every single day. Speed. Everything in this process moves fast. So when someone applies, the next step goes out the same day. We're not waiting, circling back, or following up days later. Because here's the reality: the best candidates don't stay available. They take other jobs. So if your process is slow, you're not missing the bad candidates, you're missing the good ones. We don't chase, we don't follow up, we don't remind, we don't convince, we watch. We watch who takes action, who follows through, and who leans in on their own. Because the people who chase you during the hiring process are the same people who take ownership on the job. And the people that you have to chase, you'll be chasing them forever. Efficiency. All of our interviews are on Zoom. That might sound like a small thing, but it changes everything. If someone doesn't show up, we didn't drive anywhere, we didn't rearrange our day or lose time that we can't get back. It gives us a good picture about who they are. They are generally more laid back and comfortable in their own home, which really shows us if they are prepared. We're totally cool with them interviewing in their car as long as they aren't driving. So we stay in control of our schedule, which matters when you're hiring regularly. Clear expectations from the start. From the ad to the presentation to every step in between, we are showing candidates exactly what this job is. No sugarcoating, no surprises, and because of that, the wrong people opt out early and the right people walk in already aligned with what we expect. When you put it all together, this system is fast, so you don't lose great people. It requires action, so you don't waste time on the wrong ones. It's efficient, so it protects your schedule, and clear, so you attract the right fit from the beginning. Hiring stops feeling like a gamble. You're watching people show you who they are before you ever bring them on. And that's the difference between building a team and constantly replacing one. Now, let's talk about interviews. If you've built your process the right way, the interview should actually be the easiest part. You're not walking in blind. You already know quite a bit about this person. The interview is where you confirm, not figure out from scratch. So, tip one, confirm. By the time someone gets to the interview, they've already shown you who they are through every step that they've taken. They followed directions, they completed the steps, they took action. Tip two, interview for your core values. Skills can be trained. What you can't train is how someone naturally shows up. So instead of generic questions, ask things that reveal whether they think the way you think and operate the way that you expect. Also, show of hands, how many of you guys know what your core values are? I had core values and I couldn't have told you what they were at all. So I developed core values that came from my heart. They were so much easier to remember and just spew off one, easily one at a time. So instead of generic questions, ask things that reveal whether they think the way that you think and operate the way that you expect. Here's how to make those questions actually work for you. Look at what you already know about this candidate before the interview starts. If their screening responses were vague or surface level, dig in. Ask them to tell you more. Ask them to give you a specific example. If they said they're detail oriented, ask them to tell you about a time that attention to detail actually mattered in a job. If they said they work well independently, ask them what that looks like on a hard day when no one is checking in. If something in their work history stood out to you, use it. If they worked somewhere for a long time and then had a gap, ask about it directly. If they've had a lot of short stints, ask what they were looking for that they didn't find. You're not interrogating them, you're just paying attention and following the thread. The goal is to get them talking in specifics, not generalities. Anyone can say that they're reliable. Fewer people can tell you exactly what they did the last time something went wrong and they had to figure it out on their own. Tip three, pay attention to how they show up. Are they on time? Are they prepared? Are they engaged in the conversation or waiting to be led through it? How someone shows up to the interview is how they'll show up to the job. Those details aren't small, and they tell you a lot. When you walk into an interview having already done the work, asking the right questions feels less like an interrogation and more like a conversation you already know how to finish. So tell me in the chat, what are you struggling with the most in interviews?
I will stop following up and let them come to me. That's first. Yep. Having enough time to ask all our key questions. Yes. This is where Michelle's system gets she's got like her set questions that they always ask and confirm things in the interview, but then there are custom ones per applicant based on what she's learned about them up to that point. So you've got to make sure you're allowing enough time for the interviews and for that natural conversation to like take place. Victoria said being fake and bringing out who they are. Yeah. Alessia said, I have noticed that I am trying to be nice and build trust. Well, yeah, you want to be nice. Anna said our boss invites people for lunch and just lets them talk and talk. And when she catches red flags that way, but she's also a softie and wants to help everyone. Yes.
Yeah.
I have seen that. You get the sob stories, and you're like, maybe if I'm the boss that helps them, they'll be different for me. And, some people, I'm not gonna say it doesn't work with anybody, but the chances of that working are very, very slim.
Actually, one of the things that I've done, I friend all of my cleaning techs on Facebook, but I barely ever post anything. So then they forget that they're friends with me on Facebook. That's tripped them up a few times.
That's sneaky, but it's not even sneaky on purpose. That's funny.
I just naturally don't post much on Facebook. So,
Yeah, I'm the same way. I post so much for rescue and for the clients and stuff. I don't feel like doing my own social media. Forget
right.
it.
Now let's talk about selection. And I want you to really hear this part because it's where everything either comes together or it falls apart. Every person you bring onto your team changes the environment for everyone that's already on it. There's a quote from Jim Rohn that I keep coming back to. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's not just true in your personal life, it's true for your team. When you hire someone who takes ownership, your team starts to take more ownership. When you hire someone who cares about doing the work right, your standard of care rises. But the opposite is just as true. Someone who cuts corners, shows up late, or doesn't fully buy in, that becomes contagious too. And it happens faster than you'd expect. Every hire is either raising your standard or quietly lowering it. There is no neutral. So when you're sitting with that final decision, don't just ask whether they can do the job. Ask what impact this person is going to have on the team that's already there. Because you're not just filling a position, you're shaping your culture with every single person you let in. Choose carefully. Who you hire determines who your team becomes. You can have the best process in the world and still end up with the wrong people if you don't make strong decisions at the end. So, here are 4 things to keep in mind when you get to that final call. Hire on proof. It's easy to have a great conversation with someone and think you like them, but liking someone is not a hiring strategy. I feel like I'm talking directly to Lesia here. What matters is what they actually showed you throughout the process. Did they follow directions? Did they complete every step consistently? Your process gave you evidence, so use it. Consistency over chemistry. Don't hire the person you connected with the most. Hire the person who showed up the right way every single time. Chemistry feels good in the moment. Consistency is what actually performs on the job day after day. When in doubt, it's a no. This one takes discipline. If something feels off, if you're unsure, if you're trying to talk yourself into it, that's your answer. The right hire should feel clear. Not perfect, but clear. Protect the standard. Every time you say yes to someone who is close enough, you are quietly lowering the bar for the entire team. Every hire either raises your standard or lowers it. And when we talk about protecting the standard, we're talking about 2 things. We're talking about your culture, the way your team shows up, communicates, and treats each other and your clients. And we're talking about your cleaning standards, the quality of work your clients are paying for and trusting you to deliver consistently. When you bring in someone who isn't the right fit, it doesn't just affect you. It affects the teammates who have to work alongside them and the clients who are relying on your team to show up and do the job right. Protecting the standard isn't about being rigid. It's about being responsible to the people who are already counting on you. Don't rush it. If you have 12 interviews scheduled today and you feel that you desperately need someone, if the right person wasn't in that group of 12, you need to keep going. Don't ignore what your process is already telling you. Hire on proof, choose consistency, trust clarity, and protect your standard because the people you hire become the culture that you build. So tell me in the chat, Have you had a bad hire that affected your team a lot? I have.
Several.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm gonna throw this out there too. I can't remember who it was. It might have been you, Michelle. I don't remember who said it to me. I know I was struggling at one point, and it was like three or four bad hires in a row. And part of it was I was stressed because I needed people. And part of it was me wanting to give everyone a chance. They were going to be different for me. And then 3 months later, I'm going, my God, I have four people that are making me absolutely crazy. And someone said to me, and I wish I could remember who it was, said, it is so much easier to not hire a bad applicant than it is to fire a bad employee.
For sure.
And that
Uh,
completely changed my mindset because then in the interviews, I started thinking, okay, I kind of don't have a great gut feeling about this. Something is not right. I was not 100% sure. Yeah, this is, and I learned that it was easier to say no to them in that moment than it is to bring them on, try to train them, onboard them, deal with their crap, and then have to fire them.
right. Well, and I've had to remember too that a great cleaner does not make a great employee. So they might be showing up to their job every day. They might be doing a great job, getting 5-star reviews, getting those Facebook and Google reviews. But if the rest of your team doesn't like working with them, they are not a good employee. And that's a difficult one to rationalize too. All right. So you made it through the hardest part. You found the right person, but here's what a lot of owners don't think about. That person just went through a thorough, intentional process to get to you. They wanted this job. Now it's on you to make sure that they don't regret choosing your company. Onboarding isn't paperwork and a first day walkthrough, it's a foundation of everything that comes next. Have a clear checklist and workflow ready before they start. Paperwork, training materials, what to expect in their first week, their first month. They should never wonder what comes next or feel like they're figuring it out on their own. That uncertainty is what sends good people out the door quietly. Introduce them to your team properly. Culture starts on day one. Culture also starts with you. How you bring someone in sets the tone for how they'll feel about being there. And then train them, really train them. And shameless plug for Rescue My Maid service. They have a great training program. I definitely use it in my business. Training is the single most important system in your business. If it's broken, fix it. I've personally gone through the training system workshop that Rescue My Maid service offers, and I highly recommend that too. So the training system workshop is different than the cleaning tech bootcamp, and I've done both. The cleaning tech bootcamp, every single cleaning tech goes through. If your training system needs work, that's the place to start. Think back to changing your mindset, and instead of thinking, what if they quit right away and I spent all this time training them? Think about them staying and not having the proper training. Check in early and often, not just at 90 days, in the first week, in the first month. That's when people are most likely to quietly decide it's not for them and start looking elsewhere. A quick check in shows them you're paying attention and that you care. And celebrate their wins. Give them the feedback they need to grow. People stay where they feel seen and supported. You worked hard to build a process that finds the right people. Don't let the onboarding be the reason that they leave. So tell me in the chat, how confident are you in your onboarding and training process to ensure new hires have an excellent experience? Also, I made myself a little note here. Don't be afraid to ask your current team what they thought of the process. They're the best people to
Yes.
let you know where the system is broken. My training is pretty good. My onboarding might need some work. I honestly worked backwards and figured out, like, once they come on the team, how do I get them like set? And then I worked on my hiring, working on really solidifying this. Started to do check-ins in that first week, but finding that not a lot of applicants are willing to open up.
Make it part of your process. When you sit
Yeah.
down with them and you're onboarding them, you let them know, this is how training is gonna work, this is what's gonna happen next. And in 1 week, I'm gonna follow up with you so that you can tell me how things are going. Tell them then that that is coming. and
Yes.
it will help a lot.
Also, set yourself reminders. Even if it's just like a reminders in your phone or whatever, put it on your calendar. I'm actually building something out in ClickUps that will remind me for up to 8 years. So I just need to get the stupid automations right.
Yeah, I haven't. I'll look at that after the call. Sorry, I forgot about it.
I did get a message back from ClickUp too that so I need to check that out.
Anna said before training, we do 2 to 3 test days. We tell them in those days they will know if the work is for them and also for us to decide. So our boss takes them to a friend's house to clean and tries them out. Yep. Andrew said pretty solid, but we're always trying to improve it more. Yes. This might be where you go over. It's part of the mindset shift is that no system is perfect and there's always going to be hiccups.
And you know what? I'm always tweaking mine too. Always. There's always
Checks in daily.
more that can be done.
Victoria, you check in daily with them? I forgot about that. I think you told me that before. You don't bug them and make them crazy? Victoria knows I'll pick on her.
All right, so let's bring this all together. Hiring the right people isn't about luck, and it isn't about finding more applicants. It's about building a process that attracts the right ones, filters out the wrong ones, and gives you real information before you ever make a decision. When you shift your mindset from finding people to filtering for the right ones, everything changes. When you build in intentional steps that move fast but require effort, you stop wasting time on candidates who are never going to work out. When you walk into an interview already knowing quite a bit about who you're talking to, the decision gets a lot clearer. And when you protect your standard at every step, you're not just protecting yourself, you're protecting your team and your clients. One more thing before we move on. The system works, but it isn't foolproof. Sometimes someone gets through who shouldn't have. It happens. It has definitely happened to me, and it's even happened recently. But when it does, don't let it linger. And as soon as it's clear that they're not the right fit, have the conversation and move on. A bad hire that stays too long does more damage than the gap that they leave behind. All right. I've shared a lot with you guys, but I don't want this to just be me talking at you. The best stuff usually comes from what's happening in the room. And I am not the only one who's hired the wrong people before. I definitely know that. You've heard the strategies. Now let's talk about how they apply to you. This is your time to ask questions, share experiences, and don't be afraid to be honest about what's not working. Collaboration is where real growth happens.
Yes, this is usually the best part of any call that we do when you guys actually unmute and start talking, and then other people listening are getting ideas. And like, y'all, this is seriously the best part. So jump in.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this all done through Indeed, or how do you go about this process?
So we do Indeed ads. We also do Facebook ads. I've run things on Google before too, where like I sponsor
Oh,
my Hire Now page. So wherever it is that we get our applicants from, we filter them over to our website. So we filter them over to the first application process where it gives them all the information of the job. And then they fill in the first application, which is seriously like name, phone number, email address, like just the information that I need to be able to make automations happen. And then everything else happens step by step by step after that.
Hey, Michelle, just so you know, and so everybody else on here knows, the reason that I started bugging you to do this is because a conversation me and Victoria had a couple of months ago, and Victoria was like, please get her to do it.
Well, good deal. I hope you
so,
found this helpful.
so this is great, but all these things that you just talked about, Indeed, Facebook, if I wanted to do more like zoning in, like I'm doing with Sandy a little bit, like one-on-one eventually, can you like almost like hand holding, like, okay, what's my next step? How do I do this? Like, help me do that web page or what, all that stuff.
Hmm.
That's all still me and the technology.
Yep, that's
Okay,
all
okay.
Sandy.
Yeah.
All right. Still got to email you back from a while ago, but it's on my list.
Look,
We
you're
all,
busy. I know it's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Let's see here. Heather said her camera's not working. I don't know what's going on, Heather. You were on a while ago. I don't know where you went.
It was, and now it's like I can't. it's whatever. It's one of those days, it's a day after a holiday. We all know how that works. So,
Yeah,
Heather, I'm so
technology is like
excited to hear your voice even.
oh, I know it's been a long time, hasn't it?
It has so
I've come a
long.
long way from crying about technology, I swear. I still cry a little bit, but I'm much better now.
girl, me too. Me
I just
too.
I just swear at technology now.
Well, I do that too, but that's okay. No one else usually hears that but me, so it's fine.
Right.
All right, Anna's got a good question in the chat. She said that her hiring ad might not be working or applicants don't read it because they're getting people that they don't want to attract. So
Mhm.
how long and detailed should the ad be? We actually have a sample that is going to be in the resources, but I think, and Michelle can go into this more, I think what's really important is digging into how you're presenting the ad to the person that you do want to attract.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like even if you throw into Chat GPT or Claude or whatever and say, I need a cleaning tech who, and these are the qualities that I want this person to have. Um, have it be like, I want somebody that's caring. I want somebody that, understands that we're helping people on a regular basis. I want somebody who gets along well with the team. But I mean, that will help you like write the ad to be able to attract the right people. Another thing that I added to my ad that, I mean, these two little words completely changed the quality of person that I was hiring. Um, and that is, we are a no drama workplace. Heather, you probably remember that because we talked about it in Ken's group.
Yes,
But
you did. Yep.
that those two little words, no drama, I started getting the people who worked with people who create drama, and they were the ones that were always doing the great job at their jobs and just couldn't deal with their drama. So when they saw on my ad that we are a no drama workplace, I mean, for one thing, I have all introverted people. Like nobody wants to see me ever. I'm
Yeah.
very sad about this. I am a very extroverted people like person, let's get together, let's do these things. And they're like, no, let's not at all. It's killing me a little bit here, but that is really what helped turn our culture around is just putting those two little words in there. And Leslie, I see you have a question.
I do. It's been so long that my question is, do you have all of this what you are now saying as a training so we can, get to it? I really need it like today.
um, I know that the replay will be available. Sandy, I know that you put some stuff in
I
the
mean, like step
resources.
by step. I mean, I'm soaking in every word you're saying and saying it.
I
I
don't
need
know,
the
Michelle.
process.
We might
I'm
have
not
to we
gonna
might
put
have
that.
to do a workshop too.
Maybe.
I'm not gonna put that myself. What were you just saying? I mean, it's a huge process to put even just the no
I
drama.
know.
I mean, we can add no drama to our ad, but that's it. What I can say.
I mean, it is a process. And like I had said earlier, I'm constantly working on it too.
Okay.
I just recently added the culture questionnaire. Otherwise, I didn't have the questionnaire at all. And we just had our, couple of questions that we asked in the interview, and that was it. But since putting in this culture questionnaire, it kind of guides us into what questions we should be asking during the interview. So, we just added that within the last, I don't know, couple of months. So, like, it is always evolving. I'm always kind of changing things. But if you add no drama to your application or to your ad right now, that is an amazing change. And then if you have them fill out a short just a short application to
Mhm.
get to your hiring presentation. I just all I did was I created a presentation in Zoom or in Canva, I'm sorry, in Canva, and then recorded it with Loom. and just put that on my website. It's a hidden page on the website. I gave you guys what the link is. So you can get to it that way, but I have it hidden on my website so that people can't necessarily find it. But that's what they have to watch before we send them the full application. So like each portion of it, like all I did was just kind of hide it so that they have to figure out how to get to the next portion of it. But if you don't know how to automate it in such a way, even if you have things on your website, like if you have your application on the website and they click the link and it takes them to a different page on your website, like that works too. Have them watch the hiring presentation and then have them text you, I'm all in. I have it set as an automation so that it automatically sends them the full hiring ad or the full hiring application. But if you're on your phone, a decent amount of time, then when you see that text come in, you can just send that when you see the text. Even though it's automated, I have it automated. There are different things that you can do if you don't know how to do that kind of
Do
stuff.
you have it automated in the ClickUp? Where is your automation?
Between ClickUp, Zapier, my phone plan, I've GoToConnect for my phone, so I can zap things through there.
Okay.
And you don't have to set it up for them to like text, I'm all in. They can respond to an email
Yeah.
and say, I'm all in. Like you don't have to go, because I'm gonna tell you the whatever the government control is over these texting things, that is some aggravating stuff to set up.
Yeah.
So we do the ads like right now. Facebook bring us kind of more quality versus Indeed. Indeed
Yeah.
was just too many and it was not quality candidates. So when they come in, I mean, in the ad, in the Facebook ad, we have the application linked to our website application.
Hmm.
And then I think it would be nice to have the video like you have on the website, on the employment page, so they can, and then after that, so they can watch it. So maybe after they fill out, have the click on the button, click to watch that video,
Yep.
and then we send them our company larger application to fill
Hmm.
out.
Michelle, can you, Heather's got a question, but also can you, from the applicant perspective, from
Yep.
where they apply to them being onboarded, can you just go through every step from the applicant's point of view? Like just tell them, I think that'll help them understand what their applicants are going through versus what they're setting up to put out to the applicants. Does that make sense?
I think so. Okay, so like when the applicant finds our job, however it is that they find it, they are directed to our website, to our Apply Now page, and that they would fill out the first application. After they fill out the first application, they automatically get a text that says, so great to hear that you're interested. Here's a hiring presentation with the next steps. So then they go through the hiring presentation. In the hiring presentation, it tells them, text I'm all in with your name to our phone number. So once they do that, they automatically get another text message that says, we're so glad that you feel that we would be a good fit for you. Now let's make sure that you're a good fit for us. And we send them the full application link. Once they fill out the full application link, then they get the culture questionnaire as well as the Calendly link to book their interview. So they would fill out the culture questionnaire. They would book their own interview. I think within Calendly, we have like a reminder of, your interview starts in an hour type thing. That's really the only follow up we do with them. After a couple of days, sometimes we do go back into our hiring pipeline and we put people into timed out. So then they do get a reminder email saying, hey, you didn't make it through the next steps. If you're still interested, this is what that next step is. it's not very often that people will come back through because they've already weeded themselves out. But it's the one little reminder that we do for them, and that's about it. And then once they have their interview, if we like them, we hire them actually pretty quickly. We try to make decisions on the same day. So we would send them an offer letter with the background check information. And it's an offer letter pending your background check and reference check. So it's back on them then to fill out the background check information. So then the background check automatically goes out to them. Once they fill it out and send it back, then we'll pull their background check. We will start calling their references too. We do have a message that goes out to them saying, we're checking your references. These are the references that we have with these phone numbers. If none of this looks right, please let us know. We also don't want references that they're related to or they're just friends with. That we want them to be like professional references, or, like if it's their pastor or a coach or a teacher, or, because a lot of times we have young people that are applying. So I understand this might be their first job. So, but yeah. So then after that, after they pass the background check, after they pass the reference check, then we figure out what their start date would be and start sending them the training info. Otherwise, if we are passing on them, then we automatically send them an email saying thanks, but no thanks. You should charge to set that up. I would pay for that. Sandy, do we have something set up for that?
I'm putting information in. I'm on it.
All right, good deal. Any other questions?
Anybody else want to share any horror stories also with the group to help people,
But can I just ask one more question regarding the today's training? You mentioned, Michelle, about the rescue team training that you went through twice. What kind of training is that?
Sandy, do you want to talk about that?
Please.
So it wasn't that she went through it twice. She's got CTB, the Cleaning Tech Boot Camp. She uses that for all of her new technicians to watch and get certified. Then Michelle also went through, she was in my beta group for the training systems workshop, which that's geared towards owners and their, support staff to work on the actual system for training. So it's different from CTB, and Michelle's done both.
Yep.
I don't have another workshop scheduled right this minute because there are some other workshops coming up that are not public knowledge yet from somebody we haven't seen in a while. So
Sandy, is there something like we could watch or purchase? There's something and put together, or this is just that you have to be putting that together?
I'm gonna make some changes to the way that it's formatted. I will have that ready probably end of June to roll out, but I'm not gonna have anything ready before then.
Okay.
Because you're falling into a weird spot where I've got somebody else that wants to pop back into the world for a minute and teach some classes and see y'all's faces, and I want to make changes to the structure at it. I've done four or five of them now, and each class that I went through it with, I learned from it like how to better hone it. So I'm kind of at that point now where it's like time to like finalize the structure and stuff. That's where me and Victoria got to know each other very well. was on one of those.
But is there any, like, maybe just to allow it for some fee to watch the replay of those trainings or anything?
There is not anything available right now that's like evergreen or recorded. Not right now.
I see.
But I'm working on it. And Leslie, I will make a note that you're the first person I email when it's ready.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. So great to be back with you guys.
I know we missed you.
Yeah,
sure.
too.
All right. Well, what is a red flag that you guys would never ignore again?
Confrontational.
Confrontational, yes. Tessa said annoying clients. Yes, that is true too. Like mine would be attitudes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, Tessa can see the red flags. Man, I wish I could see them. I feel like I see the good in everybody. I have
Victoria.
OCD. I know exactly what you mean by that, Victoria. I I think that this would be a great job because I have OCD. No, you don't. You do not have OCD.
She's like, go away.
Go away.
And then when you hire a person that actually does have OCD, now you've got someone that goes into a recurring clean and they spend 7 hours in it. So it's not a good thing either way.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
And Wendy, I see you're here too. They're usually on their best behavior, don't really show up until about 3 to 4 weeks in. Yeah. Tessa says employees who are overly nice and end up being very fake. Yeah. Victoria said we learn from every single interview and hire. We do. We definitely do. I've gotten to the point where like somebody will remind me of an employee that we used to have, and I'll be like, nope, red flag. Don't want them.
Yeah, when you guys are thinking about like, how to attract that person that's perfect, if you have somebody on your team now, or you previously had somebody at some point that you absolutely loved and they were just perfect, and dig into that.
Mm-hmm.
What was it about their personality? What kind of job history did they have before they came to you? What was their experience? How did they, like, you dig into when you've got that model to go by, that's the person you dig into to kind of write out the qualities that you need a person to have so that they can show up and do the job good.
For sure. And what you'll start to notice is commonalities between them. So if you have like 5 different people that you're like, I would hire them again in a heartbeat, figure out what jobs that they did before, what qualities they possess, what made them the great cleaning tech that they were. And more than likely, all the things are going to be about the same.
Yeah, digging into when you dig into everything that's either gone wrong or gone right, you get the data you need to be able to know how to ask the questions and get more to those people.
Yeah. Victoria said, I've noticed that most people don't last the 90 days. So, what that tells me is that the expectations of the job aren't clear. So, if you set them up with expectations of what they're going to experience with you and the company, and you're completely honest about it, I think that's when they will start staying longer than the 90 days. Do you like hiring brand new cleaners or with prior experience?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't ever hire anybody with prior experience.
And I did.
And
This is
and
so debatable. So
if
look,
I did, they were
let me
horrible.
I'll give y'all a little sneak peek into something that I go over in the training system workshop. You typically, if someone applies and they have worked for the local motel, or
Housekeeping, I would do, yes.
yeah, they've done housekeeping, or they say they've cleaned houses and they don't give you that company name, that I would lean towards no. Mary Maids, yeah, that's a hard pass for me. What I did find success with is if someone applied and they had had previous history with another cleaning service, maybe not in my area, but like Richmond, further out or something. And I went to that business's website and I looked at their reviews and I looked at what they offered in their scope and I looked at all of what that business offered. If it was comparable to mine, I would take the chance because they would be easier to train. But you've really got to look at who that other company is before you even consider it. If you find someone that, worked for ABC Cleaning last year and you go to the website and their scopes aren't on there or their scopes are a mess and you can just tell they're not a professional business, then I would not hire those people. But if they come from a company that holds to a standard the same way that I do, I will consider it. And there's been ones that I've regretted and ones that I haven't. It's
I,
debate.
yeah, I've regretted each one. You know, I've gone with people that have been with comparable businesses and then they show up and they're like, this is so much harder than the job that I was doing. And it's like, well, how is it harder? Like the majority of the companies around here, for one thing, they'll go in teams of like 3 or 4 people and we're solo. So, like, she was upset that she had to do all the work on her own. Well, she only had one house a day instead of like 6, but she felt that it was just way too hard. So, I just, I mean, that's just one example. But other people that I've gotten from other cleaning businesses have been because like they weren't doing a great job at the other company or, whatever. So, no, I personally do not.
Wendy said, I just had one quit. She's moving back to Arizona and worked for a lady who had no training.
All right. What standard are you currently tolerating that you shouldn't be? So, what is your current staff doing that you are tolerating?
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm curious to see where everybody is with that. Are y'all tolerating people that are, yep, calling out excessively?
Yep.
One back talker. Yeah, I can't stand somebody with an attitude, man. And
I know.
it's not even it's not even that I I get I guess I do get very aggravated with people that sass me, especially when it's something you're giving them feedback and they
Right.
take it so negatively. No matter how professional what I say next comes out, my face, y'all,
It says it all.
my face says it all. It says it all. I was the worst person to give feedback because if they got attitude with me, it didn't matter what it sounded like coming out of my mouth. My face said, "You better sit down."
Yeah.
Like I just oh, feedback is one of those things where you've really, really, in that onboarding process, you've really got to explain to your new hires that it is not personal. It is part of the job. This is who's going to give you feedback, whether it be you or the trainer or whoever, and how they can expect to hear that feedback. It makes it so much easier for people to digest it when they know it's coming.
Right.
This is the scenario that happened to me on Friday. So I'm working with the new trainee. I got another one out there in ZenMaid. It states in capital letters, do not clean the basement. There's 2 areas in ZenMaid where it says basement not included. So the girl calls me and says, so we don't do the basement here. I'm like, what do the notes say? I can't stand it when they call or bother me with a question that's clearly in the notes.
Yeah.
And so I said, it's in the notes.
One of the things that I started to do to make sure that people are reading the notes is I put little Easter eggs in there. So, like, contact the office about getting a free coffee after you
I've done that.
post in the before and after photos channel, or tell us a joke, or, whatever. But we've done like little Easter eggs like that, or lunch on us, or whatever. And people actually read the notes now because they're excited to find those things.
That's
And we
cool.
usually
Yeah,
only do like one.
I used to do that. I don't do that anymore.
I did that
Uh,
too for a spell, but it got so bad at one point with my folks that I was like, no, y'all are adults. This
that's
is a
that's
basic
my view
function
too.
of the
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Read it.
But
No, you
here's
don't get a brownie button. Sorry.
here's
No.
here's the thing though. Okay, I was in the field for like 20 years. I had the same houses over and over and over and over and over and over and over. So I would go to these houses and be like, I know exactly what to do because I've been here a million times. And that's exactly where our cleaning techs are at. They've been to these houses so many times that they know what the job is. But when you add one little thing, if a client calls and says, "Hey, I want to add the basement," you put it in the notes because the notes are supposed to be read, but they don't read the notes because they've been to this house so many times. I remember
Like,
when I switched over to, so I used just a paper planner for a super long time and then switched over to ZenMaid. Now, I used a paper planner because it was just me for a really long time. And then I think I switched over to ZenMaid after having employees for maybe 3 months. So not a super long time. But I had one person who every single day she would message me, where am I supposed to be tomorrow and when? And I'd be like, check your ZenMaid. She'd be like, I don't want to check my ZenMaid. I just want you to tell me. No, that's
oh
not
no.
happening anymore.
I just walked into my Airbnb, sleeps 22 people. They left it a mess and even redecorated. So very nice of them.
Oh no.
The worst thing that I do in an Airbnb is if somebody leaves their Netflix logged in, oh, I am changing your profile names.
Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious.
That is funny.
Do not leave your Netflix and your Hulu in my hands.
Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know. For me, I feel like it's not the onboarding process. It's like the month in that they turn into something else. You know what I mean? They go
Yeah.
dumb all of a sudden on you. Stupid things like that. You know what I mean? Or then all of a sudden they got stomach issues all the time. So they're calling out all the time.
Yeah,
Mm.
Azalea had asked about the call out policies, but I know now, especially with Michelle's state, every state has started implementing rules to unexcused absences and how many times they can be gone. And it's not something that we can compare really
Right?
well anymore with all of us being so spread out because Michelle's laws in Minnesota are probably going to be vastly different from Arizona, and then those are going to be vastly different. So you have to go to your labor board website and kind of see what your requirements are first and
It
then
is.
find somebody to compare to that also has those same requirements is the best way to kind of figure that out because the government likes it making it harder on the businesses too, man. Y'all
That's all
gotta
you.
y'all gotta figure out how to clone me and find the me's in the world. I messaged Courtney yesterday and asked her one question. She was like, "Woman, it is a holiday," and I was like, "Sorry." She was like, "Stop working."
Right?
It is hard to shift the mindset of changing the system so that it better filters for the people that you want. And it's something that I think takes trial and error too. You might try running 2 ads at a time. Try
Yep.
running one that reads to the fun and the energetic and that side of your culture, and then run one that also is fun and energetic, but it focuses more on the other qualifications we want to see from you and what kind of person we need you to be. Run both of the ads at the same time and see which one is pulling in the better applicants. And then
Mhm.
when you have that answer, you take that ad and you run it next to another one that's slightly worded different. And you do that until you have your ad pulling in the right applicants.
For
That is,
sure.
it's not something that you're going to start on today and have it fixed by Friday. It is, I watched Michelle for a year dig into stats, ads, wording. Like I'm telling y'all, she put the work in to figure it out to get where she is.
Also, if that is something that's important to you, like culture is important to me, but if attendance is important to you, Rescue My Maid service has an attendance questionnaire. So they could fill
Oh,
out an attendance questionnaire to give you a little bit more feedback of how they would actually show up at the job.
And it'll tell you what questions to ask them in the interview too.
oh, I
Yeah.
like that.
How
I
they
will definitely
score.
look into that because that's really the only issue. I mean, as much as I like to have work culture here, it just doesn't really work because they're all solo cleaners for the most part. And same thing,
Right.
they're all introverts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, they don't want to get together and do things. They
Wendy,
don't want
you should look at if you guys go to the website and go to the Hiring Insight screenings page, about halfway down, you'll see it hyperlinked. It says to learn more about your culture archetype, click here. When
to.
you click that link, it'll take you to another page that explains the 6 culture archetypes so that you can maybe better understand what your culture archetype is. A lot of the owners that I've worked with, especially recently, they think they're fun and energetic, but when they go through and they actually read the description for each one, Michelle just went through this when she was doing
Hmm.
the culture one. She realized that is not the culture. She'd been writing for one culture, thinking she had another, and just didn't have a name for it. So
Yeah.
it's a very helpful resource. Even if you don't sign up for the screenings, you can still access that page that
Mm.
breaks down the 6 types so that you guys can
Okay.
look at it and use that as a resource too.
Yeah. And let's go back to Azalea here too. She said, I guess I'm wondering with call outs, do you have a way to change their behavior? Because we have workers who call out a lot that we really like, just have the instability issue. Okay, so first off here, what I want to kind of reiterate is because they are good at what they do does not make them a good employee. This is somebody who is not necessarily a good employee. But what can we do about it now? So I am a huge fan of positive reinforcement. I'm not really one to like write people up or anything like that, but when I do, it makes a big difference. But especially if you have multiple people that are doing this, make it into a game. Like figure out something that speaks to them that will help them work on that. So we do what we call review roulette. It's just a spinning wheel. It's a spinning wheel that we have that I get off of online, and everybody's names get added for Facebook and Google reviews that they receive. If their absentee rate is under 7.5% per month, they get 5 entries. And if their survey rate is above 35%, then they get 2 entries for that. And then at each team meeting, we spin the wheel twice for $50 a piece. And I just Venmo them $50. For the Facebook and Google reviews, they also get a $20 gift card to wherever it is we have gift cards from at that point. And then once you do that for a little bit, start getting them into, a better habit, then you can make a policy of, if this happens so many times, or you probably already have a policy, you're just not enforcing it. But once you get people into the good habit of not doing what it is that they're doing, then start enforcing the rules if they're not being a team player and figuring it out. Victoria says we do lots of gas gift cards. We have Quick Trip and Holiday. Those are like our big gas stations, and they're kind of all over the place. I mean, free gas is free gas. Like they probably have certain ones that they want to go to because it's closer to their home, or maybe they're discounted the most or whatever. But free gas is free gas. Like it doesn't matter where it's from. They'll figure out how to use it.
Thanks for those links, Sandy.
Yeah, and I'll put, like I said, I'm going to do one document that has all the links that I wasn't expecting that I needed to share today. So
Oh, okay.
I'll have one document that's just got all the hyperlinks in it for you guys.
Awesome. Thank you. So, Michelle, once you have that information about the culture archetypes, what do you do with it?
So that helps you kind of determine, what, how to write your hiring ad, what questions to ask in the interview, and things like that.
Mhm.
So how should you look for this person? So that is a really great thing to throw into AI and say, hey, I need a hiring ad. This is how our team is. How do we make sure that we find somebody that fits in with our team?
Okay, I see.
That's where I have the culture questionnaire. So I had to determine what culture we were, and then Sandy built our culture questionnaire based off of that. So then when the applicant fills that out, it gives me a better idea of what questions to ask them in the interview.
So I would say you can actually ask AI to build that avatar.
Yeah. You can, I mean, you're gonna want to know like what qualities you want it to possess. You
Yeah,
want that.
here's let me for those of you that do use AI, Here's what you do. You go into your chat and you give it context and you say, this is what I'm trying to accomplish,
Mm-hmm.
but my brain is all ADHD and scattered. I need you to ask me questions. Let the AI take over the conversation and ask you questions that you answer.
I
That is so
see.
smart.
That is, I'm telling you, that is the best use
Yeah.
of it. When it's asking you questions, it is a whole different output
Yes. I
than
heard.
you trying to remember to give it all the information. And I will say personally, I prefer Claude for that than I do Chat GPT.
I haven't used it yet. Try. I need to try
I
it.
haven't used Claude, but it's the new thing. Everybody seems to be using it in the cleaning industry, and I
Yeah,
haven't been
they
able to
say it's
figure out what
better.
the difference is.
Yeah, I was diehard Chat GPT from rollout until about a year ago. And then I felt like it was an employee that I rolled my eyes at multiple times a day and I fired it.
Oh,
And I moved to, I tried a couple of like just easy things in Claude on the free plan, and the output was so much better and the memory was so much better. So I switch. I
hmm.
still have Chat GPT for creating fun little, like our little owl, and it's great at image creation.
Mm.
But for content, like writing, helping me write, I have so much content that I have to do. And I cannot possibly do it all by myself. But I have a certain direction and a certain message that I want in that content. So I have trained Claude. One project is solely dedicated to it writing for rescue so that it stays on brand with who we are and how we talk to owners versus sounding like robots. Like I
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
it's the best tech tools for AI is when you've got you've got a stack. There's not one tool that is best for everything. You've got to have the different types of ones for different things. ChatGPT is great for brainstorming. You just
I've
like, I
heard
have half an
that.
idea, here's half of what I'm thinking, help me. Chat GPT will help you brainstorm it and figure out a decent outline. And then you take that outline and you give it to Claude and you say, now I need this written, this tone, this voice, this
Oh, I
brand.
see. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I've
it's
heard you can move your stuff from ChatGPT over to Claude. Have you
Claude
heard
is
that?
part of Anthropic. That's who Claude is through. Yeah, you can move it. I did not move mine because my biggest fear with leaving ChatGPT and going to Claude, especially for content writing, is that I was going to accidentally train Claude to do the same stupid crap that ChatGPT was doing. I opted to, rather than have the bad employee train the new employee, I was like, nope, we're going to start over.
That's
Um,
fair.
I opted to take the time to do that. The projects management in Claude is far better, in my opinion, also, because I can create a project and then I can take the content writing guidelines. I can take examples of stuff that Courtney has actually written, stuff that I have actually written, stuff that Michelle has actually written, and I can put all of these files into that project and it references those when it
Mhm.
responds to me in any thread inside of that project. And it is just far better at content writing.
I might have to give it a try.
Now, if I need somebody to hype me up and tell me how good I am and how much they love me and I'm a rock star, I'm gonna talk to ChatGPT all day long.
Right?
All day
Because
long.
my Chad is my biggest cheerleader,
Oh my God, hype man all the way.
for sure.
Alrighty.
But Gemini has come a long way. There's so many amazing ones.
I have a question. Is it one is only comes up on my phone is Claude by Anthropic? Is
Yep,
that
that's it.
oh,
Anthropics, yeah, that's who created Claude.
Claude? Okay, I just want to make
What's
sure.
the cost on that?
I think I pay $20 a month, something
So the
like
same
that.
as ChatGPT then.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, they've got a much bigger plan, but even with all the content and stuff that I have to do for rescue, I mean, you take something like this round table. For
Mhm.
this round table, I had to create all the content for the landing page. I had to set up the slides for Michelle to pop her information into. I had to do all the emails. I had to do all the social posts. I had to create the registration form, the workflows for the registration form, the reminder email for the link. I all of that, and I've never hit my limit in Claude. Like it just I did all of that in one day and still didn't hit my limit.
So you don't pay the 20 then?
Oh yeah, no, I pay the 20.
Oh,
I
okay.
will hit the limit on free. Now make no mistake. I will
Gotcha.
absolutely hit that limit on free. But the reason that I went with paid was more so for like the projects features. I think with Claude free, I think you do get like up to 2 or 3 project folders. But I've got a project folder for the blogs. I've got a project folder for social media. I've got a project folder for the workshops. I've got a project folder for the tech labs. I've got, like, I have my work so separated that it just makes it so much easier to manage.
I also use the same training, the boot camp
Mhm.
as well. And then how long do you have a trainer go out in the field with them?
So our training is about 2 weeks. The first full week, they're with a trainer every single day. And then the following week, they'll be with a trainer probably like 2 to 3 more days before we send them out by themselves. However, by themselves is still like part of the training because we'd have them clean at an employee's house, my house, or like certain approved places where it doesn't matter like how long they take, what kind of a job they do, anything like that,
Right.
just to like get the experience.
Okay.
Thank you for attending. I am so excited I got to share this with you all today. It was not an easy trip getting this system built and running, but it is possible to build one like it that fits your business. Replay and resources for this roundtable will be added to the Rescue Resource Hub soon.